Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for this press conference to present the financial results for the first half of the fiscal year and our midterm plan. I'm Jonathan Adashek, Global Communications Director at Nissan. Today, the details of the financial results and our midterm plan will be presented by CEO Saikawa, and after that, a Q&A session is scheduled. Please note that this press conference, including presentation and Q&A session, is being broadcast live on the internet. Now we will have a presentation from CEO Saikawa.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us out of your tight schedule. Today, we are making an announcement for the results of the first half of the year. But before making a presentation, I would like to express my apologies about the non-conformity with regards to the final inspection process. I would like to express my apologies to customers, business partners, dealers, and all the people who have been supporting Nissan, as well as Ministry of Land Infrastructure, Transport and Tourism. I'm sorry for coming up with this situation that falters or undermines the trust of all of you. Through the initiatives going forward, we would like to do our best to gain back your confidence in Nissan. I'm very sorry. As a result of all the initiatives taken so far, we took recurrence preventive measures and received confirmation of MLET before resuming the operation. And by today, Nissan Shatai Kyoto, including all these 6 plants, we are able to resume the production and registration and shipment. Thank you very much to all the relevant people. Thank you for all your support. With regards to the third-party investigation and the final report to MLET, here again, in fact, we would have liked to complete it by today and make an official report. That has been our target. However, unfortunately, we had to conduct a second round of recall. And in resuming the operation for the Japanese market, we focused on all the initiatives for preparation. So unfortunately, we couldn't complete the entire process. Within next week, we would like to submit the report to MLET. After we submit the final report to MLET, we would like to speak to the media. That's what we are intending to do. So please bear with us. I ask for your kind understanding and patience. Therefore, with regards to items related to final inspection process and final report, I would like to refrain from answering these questions. I ask for your kind understanding. I'm very sorry once again. Please accept our deep apologies. Now, I would like to present the first half results. For the 6-month period of September 30th, as you can see on the slide, we achieved year-over-year growth in unit sales revenue and market share, while underlying operating profit remained stable against the previous year. Today's reported operating profit includes the adverse impact of special items related to the recent final in-vehicle inspection issues in Japan and litigation settlement costs related to Takata in the United States. For the half, consolidated net revenues were 5.65 trillion yen. Operating profit totaled 281.8 billion yen, which equates to an operating margin of 5%. Net income totaled 276.5 billion yen, which represents a 4.9% net margin. Free cash flow for the automotive business was 239.7 billion yen, and we ended the period with an automotive net cash position of 1.76 trillion yen. Now I will highlight the sales performance. During the 6 months ending September 30th, global total industry volumes, or TIV, reached 45.55 million units, an increase of 1.9%. Nissan's total unit sales were 2.73 million units, an increase of 4.6% over the same period of fiscal year 2016. Global market share increased by 0.2 percentage points to reach 6%. In Japan, TIV rose by 7.7% to 2.48 million units. Nissan saw its overall retail volume increase by 34.1% to 283,000 units. Amid solid demand for the Serena and Note e-Power, our strong performance reflected the 17.1% increase in registered car sales to 193,000 units. We also saw 93.9% jump in mini car sales to 90,000 units following the resumption during the second half of last year of the Days and Days Rooks mini cars. As a result, our market share increased by 2.2 percentage points to 11.4%. In China, where our sales performance is measured on the calendar year basis, first half TIV is between the January and June was up 2.1% to 12.6 million units. Nissan sales increased 6.7% to 651,000 units, representing a market share of 5.2% for the half. For the third quarter, which is between July and September, our sales outpaced the market and increased to 369,000 units. We saw encouraging sales of the X-Trail and Sylphy. As a result, our sales largely rose by 15.7%. Next is North America, including United States. In North America, TIV decreased 1.5% to 10.74 million units. Nissan sales decreased 1.3% to 1.035 million units, which means that our sales performance was in line with the market. In the United States, TIV was down 2.1% at 8.84 million units. Nissan sales decreased slightly to 779,000 units, resulting in a market share of 8.8%. Oh, sorry. We sold 779,000 units, resulting in a market share of 8.8%, primarily driven by strong demand for the Rogue and Rogue Sport. In Canada, sales rose by 8.6% too. And in Mexico, although sales fell in 8.9% to 174,000 units, we widened the gap with the number 2 automaker and remained the market leader for the 100th month in a row with a market share of 23.9%. In Europe, including Russia, our sales rose 3.6% to 375,000 units. The refreshed Qashqai and the new Micra contributed to this improvement. Market share was flat at 3.8%. Excluding Russia, sales rose by 2.1% and resulted in a market share of 3.6%. In Russia, the market continued to show signs of recovery after a prolonged period of economic uncertainty. Our sales rose by 15.1% to 49,000 units, and our market share was 6.1%. In other markets, mainly to an upturn in Latin America and Africa and other markets, our sales increased by 2.3% to 390,000 units. Models such as the Datsun Redigo and the Nissan Kicks drove part of this improvement. Unit sales in Asia and Oceania decreased 2% and Latin America sales rose by 12.2%. Sales in Middle East decreased 4.8%. Sales in Africa and others totaled sales of an increase of 15.6%. So against the market in Middle East and Africa, our sales outpaced.
それからです。
Next. Moving to our financial results. As with previous quarters, Nissan is presenting its financial performance under the equity accounting method for our joint venture in China, not the consolidated proportional effort. For this first half, we are showing like or for like comparisons, excluding contributions from our divestiture of our equity stake in Kaohsiung Kansai last year. As you can see, consolidated net revenues in the first half totaled 5.65 trillion yen. Operating profit was 281.1 billion yen, which equates to an operating margin of 5%. Net income was 276.5 billion yen, which represents a 4.9% net margin. Next page. This shows you the profit variance. And looking at this graph, as you can see, on the like-for-like basis, our operating profits were relatively flat. As you can see on the far right, special items of 40.8. If we exclude this, 324.8 and 322.6 billion. You see these two bars on the left and right, and you see that this was relatively flat. Unfortunately, the expenses related to final inspection process in Japan, recall expenses, and the derivative action in U.S. related to Takata, it came down by 40.8 billion and ended at 281.8 billion yen. Let me look at the second quarter alone.
ですね。で増減で言いますと、
It's the same structure. Excluding the special items for the inspection issues in Japan and the settlement of class action lawsuits, which is 40.8 billion yen, as you can see in big letters. It's against 155.1 billion, it was 169.3 billion.
ね、改善。
As an actual operation, underlying performance improved. However, because of the special items impact of 40.8 billion yen, we lost the profit. Next.
参考としてこれ日産パ
Just for your information, I'm showing you a management pro forma basis, which includes the proportional consolidation Chinese joint venture, which we have been showing in Nissan Power 88. Net revenues increased to 6.22 trillion yen. Operating profit was 351.1 billion yen. And net income was 276.5 billion yen. Automotive free cash flow was 273.7 billion yen. And we ended the period with automotive net cash of 1.96 trillion yen. 1.96 trillion yen.
次にですね、
This is our outlook for the full fiscal year. As I said, because of the expenses reckoned for the final inspection process in Japan and the impact in the rest of the year, and what's surpassing the business plan like cost efficiency, all in all, we are revising our operating profit guidance downward from 685 billion yen to 645 billion yen.
で営業利
Notwithstanding the reduction in operating profit guidance, we are maintaining our previous net revenues and net sales volume and net income guidance.
と思っております。これからですね、年度末にかけて
As we look forward to the remainder of the fiscal year, a number of risks and opportunities exist. The risks include the operational as well as the ultimate financial impact from the Japan vehicle finals inspection issue and sales recovery while regaining trust in the market. And the potential for continued lower than previously expected market TIVs in some key markets, such as the United States, rising industry incentive levels, and the raw materials price increases. On the flip side, cost efficiency is being enhanced in the recent positive sales trend in China and improved profitability in our after-sales and sales finance businesses, which is one of the big profit sources, and an easing of the forex headwinds.
こういう中で
We are committed to working hard to offset the challenges by taking full advantage of the opportunities in front of us.
考えております。それからですね、この
And today, I would like to talk about the shareholder returns. For the fiscal year 2017, we continue to project a full year dividend of 53 yen per share, a 10.4% increase versus the prior year level. Our board approved payment of the interim dividend of 26.5 yen per share to be made on November 22nd, 2017, which is this month. That was all for the financial results for the first half of the year. And today, I said I will be talking about the new midterm plan. I will briefly show you the progresses so far. In May, when I talk about the midterm plan, we already initiated many actions. So let me update you on where we are today about the midterm plan.
まず目的あるいは
You see the mission, our objective, this remains unchanged. This remains totally unchanged. Steady growth and evolution of technology and business. These are the two main goals.
これですね、名前はですね、
And the name of this new midterm plan is Nissan Move MOVE to 2022. 2022 is we have to prepare for a bigger change beyond this 2022. So we have to complete the preparation and readiness. M stands for mobility, O stands for operational excellence, V stands for customers' value. Customer value to customers, and E stands for electrification.
次の
And on this page, well, I showed you this in May, and this big framework remains unchanged. As you can see, 16.5 trillion yen worth of revenue is what we would like to grow to in a steady manner, and the assumption is to maintain 8% of operating margin, and we generate 2.5 trillion yen of cumulative cash flow. At the bottom, you see some key factors. Main markets. In main markets and main businesses, we will deliver steady growth while ensuring profitability. In US, China, Japan, Mexico, after sales and sales finance. And harvest previous investments that we have made in the past.
取っていくということで、ブラジルが
Brazil, Argentina, India, Russia, Infinity, and Datsun.
あります。それから
And areas of underperformance should be gained back. Europe, Middle East, ASEAN. And in terms of products, we have pickup trucks and full-size SUVs, frame-based SUV to be precise. And these are the sources of growth. And at the bottom, this is the foundation: net revenue optimization, TDC, and fixed cost control. This is how we continuously improve profitability.
これが最後のページになる
Last page. As you may be aware, this is about technological evolution. Alliance will develop the technologies and we will share these technologies amongst us. EV leadership should be solidified. Autonomous driving vehicles will be deployed largely. An early provider of rubber vehicles and ride-hailing services. We call them new mobility services. We'll start working on new mobility services. What I said just now, we don't have enough time, so once we are able to recover the operations in Japan, at an appropriate time, we will talk about the growth pillars in each country and electrification and other initiatives. From the end of the year to the beginning of next year, we will have a separate occasion to talk about it. That was all about the midterm plan. But as I said, we shared with you the framework in May, and we have been making progresses since then. That concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Any questions from the floor?
Thank you, Saikawa-san. We would like now to move on to the Q&A session. If you have questions related to the presentation about earnings or the midterm plan, please raise your hand. You'll get a microphone from the staff around you. Please ask your question after telling your name and your company's name. Please limit yourself to one question so we can get everybody's questions covered. And we will start the session. First, right there in the front.
Nihon Keizai Shimbun. My name is Hoshi. I have a couple of questions, by the way. So with this financial results that you are showing, can you hear me? And you are struggling in US, and this is becoming obvious in your bottom line. And looking at the other car makers for the first half of the year in emerging countries, can you hear me? Like Suzuki? These car makers who have a strong foundation in emerging markets are pretty strong. In the Nissan Power 88, you were pursuing sales increase in the emerging countries and increased profitability. But as a result, you didn't do it. And this consequence is reflected in the performance that you see today. In this Nissan Power 88, you pursued reinforcement and enhancement in emerging markets. How do you analyze the performance in emerging markets in the past? And in the next midterm plan, how are you going to restore the operation in emerging countries? This is my first question. Second question. Profit orientation. Profit focus. I'm not trying to deny this policy. It's uncertified inspectors is one issue, and you are overly reliant on the U.S. operation. Because you are overly pursuing the nearsighted profitability, this demotivated or undermined the morale of Gemba, and this resulted in these results. What do you say about this? These are my two questions. Thank you for your question. There were a couple of questions, starting with the first one. Emerging countries. Investments that we made in the past in emerging countries. We said that we have been trying to harvest investment, but we couldn't capture it fully. If you remember correctly, in the Nissan Power 88 6 years, in the first half of the Nissan Power 88, we made a tremendous amount of investments, and at that time, we made a tremendous amount of investment at the time. Yes, you may remember, we couldn't catch up with us. And we restored a variety of operations. And as a result of these actions, in the latter half of the plan, we were able to smoothen or lubricate the operation. In the second half of Nissan Power 88, we tried to recover the investments like the countries that I referred to, Russia, India, ASEAN as well. And also in the new midterm plan, the countries that are raised, Russia, India, and Brazil also. And Latin America. We are taking a lot of time, especially in these countries. Okay, we made investments, established local production operation, but the sales force, sales power, is not only about delivering cars or products. It includes the brand building process, sales and marketing, and distribution network. So we were trying to reinforce the sales power and then introduce the products with this as a basis. But with regards to these countries that are raised, well, it's obvious, so I know. I will not going to avoid, but like looking at India, it was very difficult to make it happen. How about Russia? It's a little bit different in terms of circumstances, but you're asking about India, I believe. How do we see the performance in India, for example? Here, frankly speaking, reinforcement of the sales power in the wider definition was not catching up or didn't go as fast as we expected. To be precise, last year, in the final year of Nissan Power 88, and since then we have been reinforcing this aspect. And the global sales and marketing, who is headed by Mr. Schilacci, Mr. Daniele Schilacci, who is Executive Vice President, leading the global sales and marketing. And we have been reinforcing the operation or sales power, and we are now becoming much increasing readiness. So with this new midterm plan, in the next 6 years, one of the themes is steady growth. Therefore, in that sense,
に上げ下げ
without any fluctuation, we would like to increase our power, be stronger, and gradually we would like to catch up with the car makers who are faster than us in the emerging countries. That's our intention.
伝えた部分も
So I'm not trying to deny what you said just now. We couldn't capture the full potential. And this year, if we try to do it desperately or in a hurried way, we will be repeating the issue again. So we will reinforce the sales and marketing power gradually. So in the next 6-year plan, in the first 3 years and the latter 3 years, we have a separation between the two. So as you can see, with regards to emerging countries that you raised, in the first 3 years, I would like to make sure that we deliver results. And beyond this, we have to see how much we can deliver stronger performance. Of course, we have a reference plan, but we would like to make a decision based on the progresses we have made in the midpoint of the new midterm plan. So we want to do what we said. And also profit orientation or profit focus.
ご意見で、あるいは米国偏重
or overly reliant on US. And this may resulted in exhausting the gemba or the field.
この我々がこれから掲げていくテーマという
The theme that we are raising now is steady growth, as I said. Steady growth and maintaining a certain level of profitability, which means, I don't know how to put it, but we are not going to raise a numerical objective to stretch ourselves. Rather, we devise a solid plan and make it happen or execute the plan. I haven't described all the details of the new midterm plan, but specifically, we are not going to raise a numerical objective and commit to it. Rather, we will focus on each key driver, specify the action plan behind it, and as a consequence, we ensure steady growth. Probably, you may have noticed, we showed you big numbers here. For example, this is how much volume, this is how much we will sell more, or okay, in which year we will reach this profitability. I never said that in this new midterm plan. But in order to ensure steady growth, at one point of time, we need to maintain 8% profitability. That's what I meant. So based on the spirit, we are revising this plan. And that's the direction that we are moving forward to. And reliance on US. Rather than, well, I don't think that is correct. But as a consequence, we have a big contribution in terms of profit and volume from US. It seems like the proportion of US is pretty big, and that is true. So we are not going to reduce the performance in US. Rather, as I said, we will ensure steady growth in US and maintain a certain level of profitability with steady growth. And we need to grow further the rest of the countries. That's the intent of this new midterm plan, or it's a theme. It's a policy of the new midterm plan. If we stretch the volume in the US further, it looks like we have grown. But we will be very careful about this. Because the TIV, the market itself, will be around 17 million units or so. So against now, I don't expect a big upturn on TIV. So unless we enhance the brand value, we assume that our market share will not largely increase. We'll be very careful in operating in the United States. Therefore, we are not raising a numerical objective to stretch. You talk about profit orientation. Of course, profits are important, but a certain level of profitability should be kept because we are a company. However, as I said, while maintaining a certain level of profitability, we make progresses. That's what I meant. It's not that we will just pursue profits. As I have been saying, for this fiscal year, profit margin will not be too high. I don't expect a high profitability for this fiscal term because profit is a consequence of the trust or confidence of the people on Nissan. It's more like a scorecard of our company. So rather than pursuing it as a target, if there's any mistake, we have to admit that there's something wrong with our organization. It's an indicator that we have to follow. That's all from me.
Thank you. Next question. On the right, over here in the front.
Aoyama from Asahi Shimbun. Regarding midterm plan, I have a question. This time, this is ongoing midterm plan, I understand. Just like previous plans, you are going to pursue a steady growth. However, you are aiming for very aggressive results. Earlier, we talked about the final vehicle inspection issue, and as Mr. Saikawa said, for many years, for a long year, I think I understand there are background factors. So for many years, yes, there has been complex factors which were involved in this issue. I am talking about final vehicle inspection. In 2013, you became a CEO and you became the responsible person for manufacturing. And in recent years, you have expanded the production. Maybe that is one of the factors leading to this issue. And this time, you couldn't submit a report before this press conference. But without reviewing fully this issue, I don't think the management team will be able to maintain integrity in order to pursue the plan going forward successfully. What is your recognition? What do you say in reviewing this issue? In the beginning of your remark, you said the sales companies and customers, you are the people on Gemba are working very hard and struggling, and also there are other part manufacturers who are affected. Therefore, including your way of taking responsibility or resignation, what are you going to do?
Yes. The final report. We are in the process of preparing the final report, so I will refrain from giving you a specific answer on this point. Having said that, this midterm plan, as I said, our intent or target is steady growth. Steady growth. Steady growth is only possible when we have the real actual potential or power. So the key here, we haven't given you a summary of the key points yet, so I can't give you the overview yet, but especially monozukuri in Japan, manufacturing excellence in Japan, this is at the core of our operation. All the things we do is centered around here, so we need to reinforce this or reinforce it again. That's what we need to do, because in order to provide foundation to the entire operation, I think this is an imminent challenge. I would like to talk about it in details when we are ready. When we undermine this manufacturing excellence, which is monozukuri, this will affect this foundation midterm plan. So growth, what do we do is not talking about what specifically we do in each country. The foundation, the base. The power of this foundation should not be undermined. As you said, once again, I would like to look at the overall picture to see whether this foundation is strong enough or not and take necessary actions.
Just a reminder, this is a press conference on midterm plans and H1 results. Please keep your questions to that topic. In the second row.
TV Tokyo, Ohama is my name. During the suspension of shipment, I am sure that you have a backlog of orders. In order to recover this backlog, how much time do you need it? And also, in the sales gemba, maybe cancellation of booking and also the purchase intention canceled. How much impact do you see? Thank you. Actually, today, the number of registration that has been announced publicly. Now, order taking has come down as well. More specifically, maybe Hoshino-san would be the appropriate person to answer with some numbers. Thank you. I am in charge of domestic market. Hoshino is my name. With regard to sales, let me explain. Because registration could not be done, the registration itself, 40% or so, it has come down to 40% or so. On the other hand, order taking, fortunately, Leaf was about to be launched in that month. Therefore, new Leaf is selling very well, and we received many orders. Even now, we have received 9,600 units of orders. Then, order itself, our target, total target, compared to our total target of orders, or compared to last year's track record, maybe 80% or so has been achieved. That is the month of October. And regarding that question, actually, more specifically, we receive orders from customers, and some of them have been canceled. And that occurred actually, right? Well, fortunately, not so many cancellations, I must say. But I must say that customers don't know when their vehicles will be shipped, delivered. So as a result of that, some customers wanted to cancel orders. Or maybe they had to do shaken, or they have to choose another vehicle. Therefore, maybe several hundreds of units we have seen a cancellation in that order. And when we expect recovery will happen? In November, in the first week, the factories were not opened yet. Therefore, supply was in short. Therefore, for the month of November, definitely will be affected by this issue. Having said that, going forward toward the month of December, I think we are going to see the recovery in terms of supply. Therefore, we'll be able to see the recovery in December. Let me give you a more straightforward answer. Fortunately, the orders are being received despite this vehicle issue. And the imminent issue we are facing is factory reopening, resuming the production. If we receive an order from customers, we have to satisfy that order. So we have to resume the production. That is the first and most priority. And also, rather than focusing on numbers, but people are wondering whether Nissan is going to survive or not. Therefore, we are causing much concerns among customers. Therefore, sales companies and salespeople are having very big difficulties. As Ms. Hoshino is standing here, and she is struggling every day as well. So we are trying to work as one with the sales companies. Without losing confidence, they will be able to respond to customers. That kind of environment has to be created by us. Based on that, as I said, at the end, we have to produce a report, identify what was the problem, root cause, and we have to create a conducive environment. That would lead to mitigation of concerns that the salespeople have. Therefore, we and the sales company people have to work as united, as one, and by knowing what happened in this issue, and we have to thoroughly explain the problem to our customers. Without doing this, we won't be able to recover the sales in a true sense of the word.
Thank you very much. In the second row on the end here.
Kyodo Wiring. My name is Nakajima. I have a couple of questions. And this new midterm plan that you revealed, the entire alliance, including Renault, Nissan, 6 years down the road, 14 million units is an objective that you raised. And this 14 million units is what you are going to pursue? If yes, what will be the breakdown for Nissan? And related to this question, your management policy was to raise numerical objectives and do a management by commitment. I think this was your management style. Listening to you, it seems like you are going to change this. That was my impression. What's your thoughts? That's my first question, by the way. First question? No, hold on. Wait. Let me take notes.
Hi.
Okay, yes, thank you. Yes, go ahead. And the second question. Only AutoWorks Kyoto hasn't resumed the operation. When are you going to recommence the production for AutoWorks Kyoto? Okay, the second one, Kyoto plant. I'm sorry about the concerns, but today, from tomorrow day, was it? From today, we have recommenced the production at Kyoto AutoWorks. And going back to the first question about the midterm plan, I didn't thoroughly describe it, so I said I will talk about it at a later date. Okay, let me talk about it now. I am not in a position to talk about Alliance a lot, but when we talk about the sales goal in Alliance, this is just an estimate, we said. It's not an objective. That's what we have said. So the basic, we do have a reference plan, as I said, but this reference plan is not a goal. We have a range of goals, and, well, we have different scenarios, a reference. That's where we are today. Therefore, within that volume that we refer to, we have allocation, but it's not as meaningful as you may think. It's not a goal. It's not a goal. That's what I mean. And today, we believe that the figure is achievable. So that is why we talk about that volume. That's how I understand. Another one. Numerical objectives. Are we changing this policy? This may be your impression. By my predecessor, since Mr. Gon was a CEO, we didn't just pursue numbers. We did show numbers to you, but drivers or action plan or improvements or challenges, there are a lot of initiatives around it. The initiatives were the key, or action plans were the key. We have been emphasizing it in the company. However, when we show numbers, these numbers tend to seem like a real objectives that we have to achieve, even if we didn't intend to do so. And that's what people in the company thought. So when we devised this new midterm plan, we are not changing the policy or approach. Our approach remains the same. However, we put more emphasis on actions and drivers. That's what I encourage people to put efforts in. So as a consequence, of course, everyone wants to see how big the company will be eventually, right? And how much profit are we intending to generate? The most important thing for a company is cash flow. Cash flow is very important. How much cash flow are we going to generate? We thought that we have to show these numbers, but each component of these, we devise a plan adapting to the circumstances, execute it, and if we see more opportunities, we'll pursue them. If there's an issue, we will reflect on it. So we take actions for each driver. That has been the basic approach for Nissan Power 88, and even before that, we didn't change our style, but rather we would like to emphasize it. So that is why this is how we express it.
Thank you. Next. In the front row here, Hans.
Hello, Hans Skramel from Automotive News. Can you give us a better detailed look at the performance in North America for the second quarter, the 3-month period? It seems that that's the only region where sales declined. I see that production is also down, wholesale volume is down. Can you talk a little bit about what's happening in North America? Are you sensing a softening in the market? Are you scaling back production to better match demand with supply? Where do you see it going from here?
詳細はですね、ここにホセ
For details, we have Jose here, so Jose Munoz is going to give you more details. But the U.S. market, when it comes to the U.S. market, to a large extent, we are seeing an intensifying competition. And particularly in the second quarter, there are several factors involved. The model year was from 17 to 18. We had a changeover of the model year. Therefore, we had to do it successfully. And also, lastly, we had several hurricanes attacks. So against this backdrop, the numbers you cited, and at the same time, second quarter, as far as second quarter is concerned, we don't have numbers yet, but the incentive competition is very fierce in North America. Therefore, as I said in the past, steadily we have to focus on the steady profit rather than stretching, but we don't overly focus on numbers, sales volumes, but we have to take care of profit. Jose?
So thank you for the question. I'm the Jose Munoz, CTO and Chairman of Nissan North America. So in the second quarter, first, we've seen a TIV degradation in the United States, but not only in the United States, but also in Mexico. And this has been the trend when we started the quarter, but specifically in August. August was really a very, very big negative impact for us. So you know the TIV the SAR was moving in July about 16.7, something like this, 16.6, 16.7. But in August, 16.1, driven, as Saikawa-san, as CEO mentioned, by Hurricane Harvey and also Hurricane Irma. And in our case, also significant degradation due to earthquake in Mexico, which impacted Mexico City. What happened is that the most important regions in terms of performance for Nissan are the central region and are also the southeast region. And as you know, in the central region was significantly handicapped. We are more than 17% dependent on that region, so we were hit more. We have higher mix in that region, we have higher market share than in other regions. And then also in Southeast region, as you know, we had an issue which impacted as well, which was Irma, not only once the hurricane impacted, but before, about 1 week before a hurricane impacted, we saw that the insurers were not willing to insure the vehicles, so everybody got out of business, and we were particularly impacted. Also, we saw that the TIV was not evolving from the beginning of the fiscal year to the trend that we expected. We have thought the full fiscal year TIV could be about 17.5, as announced earlier in the year, and in reality we were navigating well below that. So which made us have to readjust our production plan, which you also mentioned. What we did is that we reduced on passenger cars, particularly on our Altima, the production. But still, we got too many model year 17 mix, which had to be increased in terms of incentives compared to what we expect model year 18 will be. Also, we have since then launched the Rogue Sport, and also since then we have seen significant increase of the mix of Armada and also the Titan King Cap. So all these are things that we're still living with, but we've seen September much stronger for us. We saw October quite strong for us, and we have a much better insight for the remainder of the fiscal year.
Thank you.
I think we have time for one more question in the row back there on the right. Just right. Nope. Nope. Behind you. Yep. Thanks.
Okay, Nikkan Kogyo Shimbun, my name is Doi. With regards to midterm plan, I have a couple of questions. The first question is about operating profit margin of 8% is an objective. This has been an objective that you have been pursuing, Nissan Par 88. Why didn't change it? And in May, you said that global market share 8% is what you are going to continue to pursue. What happened to global market share 8%? Are you going to continue pursuing this number? That's my first question. And the second question, capital investment and R&D expenses? What's the specific amount here? Maybe it's difficult to give us a breakdown here, but could you give us a region or technological areas that you are going to focus your investments in? That's my question. Yes, thank you for your questions. 8%. I said that we have a scorecard. For the future, in the auto industry, we need to ensure healthy position, and to this end, 8% that we set forth last time is reasonable. If it's 9 or 10, it doesn't have to be 9 or 10. We need to create an environment that we can maintain 8%. It doesn't mean that we should always generate 8% all years. There may be years that may fall, but we should have a real potential to reach 8% of profit margin. That's the spirit behind it. Just for your information, 8%. For 8%, we have a higher proportion of China. This is the consolidated proportional. It's a pro forma. It's not the equity method. All the revenue of China is incorporated. That's what we have in mind when we talk about 8%. And 8% global market share. As someone else asked, global market share 8%. We have a potential to reach this level. And how do we express this? Is a question. We will gradually look for reaching 8%, and just jumping on 8% is different. So global market share 8% should not be raised as a big goal. Of course, for each pillar, we have an action plan. And all the action plan, all the action plan is successful, we can largely increase our market share. But it's not about the sum of the numbers that we generate. It's just a total number of all the pillars. So I don't want to put this sum or total as a big goal for the company. But the 8% objective that we had in the last plan, if we do all the initiatives around the pillar, we have a full enough potential to reach this number. But in 5th year or 6th year of the plan, we can do a little bit more and reach 8%. I will not do that. That's what we have in mind. That's all.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for joining us today. That wraps up this press conference.
By the way, I asked you to focus on midterm plan and business and limit your questions to these themes, and I asked you to wait for another week. Thank you very much for your cooperation and kind understanding. In order to meet up to your promise as soon as possible, within next week, I would like to notify you and talk about the final report. That's what I'm intending to do. Thank you very much.